You don't need to be doing, 50 hours a week. It's all achievable. You've just got to, you've got to have that balance. Being close to 50 years of age, learning things again is really, really a positive thing.
Was that the naughtiest you've been? Were you a naughty child?
No, never.
What's one dream destination?
Geez, I better say India, shouldn't I? Because you're here.
Oh.
My parents, I've got a Dutch father and a New Zealand mother, and I'm Australian, so that's probably a lesser known fact.
Okay.
My parents got divorced when I was quite young. My mother was a very hard worker, to basically put food on the table and all those kind of things, and kept driving for us. So I think that was a huge influence. My life in regards that, sort of. At 7 years old, I was sort of the man of the house, so to speak. At 7, I was sort of, okay, well, the gutters are blocked, so get up, unblock them, or mow the lawns, or those kind of things. So there was always a sort of a strong work ethic.
Right.
From a very young age, and my mother being that way. So basically it was like, just get on and do it. It wasn't sort of a childhood that you sort of whinge and moan and carry on if, like my boys do when I ask them to put the bins out or something like that. You just did it. That was just part of it. So I think that sort of work ethic sort of followed me the whole way through, and probably put me at a good foundation. I mean, look, I got offered a job in an events company in Australia called USM Events. At that stage, I was doing selling sponsorship into events and all the rest of it, and then I got into event management, and then gradually worked my way up and became general manager, and then I was basically running the place. And then at that stage, we were acquired by Ironmen, and that was about 9 years ago. At that stage, Ironman had their sort of model was licensing events in a lot of areas, and they were looking to, and that's good and bad. You have great events, but you have not so good events because you can't control the quality. So they bought USM Events, or acquired USM Events, and we then took on their whole portfolio throughout the Asia Pacific. There wasn't many events in Asia at that time. But yeah, then I sort of became the CEO of Ironman Asia Pacific, and then was spending a lot of time in Asia. Parents always took you off to sort of, team sports when you were young, playing soccer, or I think rugby later in high school, and tennis, and a bit of everything. I mean, then when in school, it was very much, part and parcel of what we did, whether it was cross-country running or swimming or, all those kind of sports. We were always introduced to everything. So from that perspective, I sort of grew up with sports. And when I left school after, I think, celebrating, leaving school for too long, I sort of all of a sudden wanted to get fit again and get healthy. So I bought a bicycle and started riding, and next thing led to the next thing, and I saw a triathlon and entered that, and that was in 1986, and ever since I've been part of your lifestyle. Went on and did hundreds of triathlons, and then eventually got up to half Ironman, and then sort of full Ironman events over that long spectrum. Birth of Ironman, it happened a few years, and it was just these crazy people doing it. And it wasn't until I think it was ESPN sort of saw Julie Moss sort of crawling across the finish line, and just her utter will to get to the finish line. Sure. And no one could touch her, otherwise she gets disqualified, and she basically couldn't run. She just lost her legs. She was trying to run. She got up so many times and ran, fell over, got up, ran, fell over, and then she just crawled to the finish line. And as soon as that vision happened, and I remember watching it as a teenager, and going, wow, that is amazing, and it must have sat in the back of my head because I always wanted to do that event after I saw it on TV, and that took the sport from here and on a trajectory. So, yeah.
Moments later, Julie Moss crawled to the finish line in one of the most memorable moments in the history of ABC's Wide World of Sports. Millions of Americans watched mesmerised by Moss's courage and determination.
You really don't, I mean, we talk about Ironman, you don't really know what an Ironman is until you actually go and see it. And, I traditionally, especially when I was in Australia, would stand on the finish line and welcome everyone home after they've been out there, whether it was for 8.5 hours or 17 hours. And the emotions that you see coming across the finish line is extraordinary. And you don't know, and that's the whole thing, A fun run, you go to a fun run. An Ironman, some of it you might have been training for 3 years to actually get to that point. But most people are have got an amazing journey, and whether they're doing it because of a loved one, or whether they're cancer and they've come back and they're doing it, or just the journey of getting there. I mean, the amount of people that just cross the finish line and break into tears, and you just go, it's extraordinary. So, other people are just so happy they're cartwheeling. Other people come across and they seem angry. I mean, the amount of emotion that comes across that finish line is just incredible, and they're just so excited that they've actually achieved that goal. Whether that was just finishing the event and getting under 17 hours, or whether that was qualifying for the World Championships and being able to compete with the world's best in Hawaii. I was always doing sort of, probably 2, maybe 3 half Ironmans a year, which was great because I think it brings you closer to the sport, it brings you closer to the people that are racing. And you can see sort of where the strengths and weaknesses are in the events as well, so you can help in that regard. Balance, I mean, look, you've got, I mean, look, it's all achievable. You've just got to, you've got to have that balance, and you've got to schedule it into your lifestyle. I know a lot of busy people, and they just do it. They basically, will get up early and schedule a couple of hours and that kind of training. You don't need to be doing 50 hours a week training, so to speak. It's good to get a coach and work. The biggest thing I would suggest is training with other like-minded people. A lot of people will say, I want to do an Ironman one day. It's really hard getting up and training by yourself every day of the week and going for your long rides and those kind of things. So if you can join a club and train with them, then they're very organised, and it gets you out of bed because you're meeting friends and you feed off each other. So I think it's more sort of time management and getting with like-minded people to help you along that journey, because it is a journey. It's not the big difference between sort of Ironman and maybe a fun run. A fun run, you can just get out of bed and go do it, whereas an Ironman, it's a journey. You enter, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to either train for 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, and the final goal is completing the Ironman. And that journey, the more people you've got with you on that journey, the more enjoyable. Events are similar, I think, because with an Ironman, you're training and training and training for months on end to get to, the end race, and then that's your goal. It's the same with events. You're planning to make sure that this event is fantastic quality, and then you pull the event off on the weekend. And if you've got great feedback on it, it's the same reward, so to speak. So from that perspective, once I got into events, I still raced. I still enjoy getting out there and having a go, but not to the level I was doing it at that stage. I'm happiest when I'm training and sort of family and work. If I can, I need to be training and exercising to take the edge off. Otherwise, it does become a bit stressful and all the rest of it. And I think that balances it all out. So I really enjoy that. The Singapore Paddle Club that I paddle with. several mornings a week, and we get yelled at by our coach, and you know, that's fantastic. He puts on all these training sessions for us, which is, I don't have to think, which is a big bonus. And yeah, it's been great, and I've learnt a lot. It's like learning how to swim again, because it's not just moving your arms, it's a lot more technical, so I've really liked that. And paddling with, you know, a group of men and women, which has been fantastic. And then now we're looking towards, you know, racing, you know, certain goals at the end of the year. There's members of the club that are going over to Molokai, which is the big race in Hawaii for paddling. But I'm entered into the Dragon Run in Hong Kong. So that's my big first adventure. So 2.5 hours, roughly did 20 kilometres. I mean, we're training up for, like I said, the Dragon Run, which is 24 kilometres, so we're starting to increase our
In November?
Yes. I snapped my Achilles tendon last year, so that's really put a dampener on sort of my triathlon bits and pieces that I was doing, and especially running. I find it really difficult to run now that I've done that. It's coming back slowly, but you know, I just wanted a different challenge. I wanted to do something new. I've done a little bit of paddling in the past, and you know, I just thought I'd give it another go. And when I started it, you know, I really loved the whole technical aspect of it, the endurance aspect of it, and the fitness aspect of it. Close to 50 years of age, learning things again is really a positive thing. I've always grown up on the ocean, whether that's, you know, in the early days of surf lifesaving when I was a kid, or surfing throughout my life, and now paddling. I've always been living near the ocean. And triathlon, most of our events are sort of, you know, around the ocean as well, so it's a big part of my life. You just got to try and schedule it. You sort of got to put some time into it and make sure that that's part of your life. Otherwise, you do start to go a bit stir crazy. You know, I just find that if I can try and at least each week try and schedule a couple of you know, exercise sessions, then I'm feeling a hell of a lot better. We went and we did the old backpacking when we were young, travelling throughout Europe and all the rest of it, but we actually bought from another couple of backpackers, and they were sort of builders, so they'd bought an ambulance at, I don't know, the government sales or whatever, and then they gutted the ambulance and turned it into a camper van. So there was a bed, there was a cooker, there was all those kind of things, but from the outside it looked exactly like an ambulance. And these guys were hilarious, and we did the same. The only thing that was missing was the sirens. So basically there was a couple of wires that stuck out the top, but it had the stripes, it had all the rest of it on there, and you know, everyone used to drive around, and everyone would sort of get out of your way because they'd think it was an ambulance. It was fantastic. So those boys actually sort of got in a bit of trouble, and they were told to basically, you can't do this, guys. So what they did, they were told to take the ambulance off, but they didn't want to do that. So they took the AM and the CE off and just left Boulan. So it looked like an ambulance, it drove like an ambulance, everything was about an ambulance. So that was a really fun
When was this?
Oh, geez. That was a long, long time ago, back in the 90s. So yeah, sort of mid-90s.
Mid-90s.
So we drove around Europe for 6 months in an ambulance. So, and had some, you know, it was a very special time, very special time. No, never.
No.
Tough
time believing that.
Yeah, no, look, no, I'm sure look, I had a great time, you know, with my friends and growing up and all those kind of things, and we got up to mischief and all those kind of bits and pieces, but yeah, those probably things you don't want to get into the detail,
okay.
But yeah. Geez, I better say India, shouldn't I? Because you're here.
Oh, you don't have to be diplomatically correct.
No, I haven't been there yet. But look, there's so many more. I mean, look, I have travelled quite a bit, and Cambodia, and have a look around there. That would be really interesting. But I'd like to go to Canada, and even though I've been to Canada for an event and I've gone in and out really quickly, I'd like to go there and America to go skiing. That would be definitely on the list. And surfing wise, there's some amazing tropical destinations around the world that I would love to go to as well. Favourite actress? I don't know if I've got a... everyone asks me, it's like those hard questions where you sort of say you've got to have favourites and the like. I don't think I do, but I've got to say I've been watching what are they called, the Marvel movies with my sons, the Infinity War and Thor and all those. They've been, I mean, and enjoying them with my boys has been really, really cool. I mean, they're at an age where we're starting to sort of, you know, being able to do similar things, which is great. I'm not going and, you know, seeing the children's movies with them, but those kind of movies have been great. I mean, and before that was the Harry Potter stuff. All of a sudden, I didn't watch Harry Potter when they first came out. It didn't really appeal to me, but now that my son's got to a certain age, I started watching it and go, hey, wow, this is really good. And I've been getting into those. So, you know, and sharing that with my sons is good fun. So it makes it more enjoyable. If the majority of your life is doing good things, then that's all good. If the majority of your life is eating good things, then you're okay. So it's again, balance. You don't have to be crazy about it. I mean, I know a lot of people that are, you know, they go over the top, and that's not enjoying. You know, you want to enjoy your food, you want to enjoy everything you do.
What's the point of life?
Exactly. I mean, once you sort of step over that boundary and you're doing, you know, I can't put salad dressing on my salad because it's wrong or something, then you know.
It's other fun.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you're happy at the end of the day, that's success. You know, look, if you're running a company, you've got pressure on hitting sort of budgets and those kind of things, so that's a part of success. But realistically, for myself, is comes down to the athlete experience at the event. So, you know, we're running events all over Asia and the like, and we've got the Standard Chartered Singapore Marathon coming up in December. That's a really big event with 50,000 runners and the like. If we can, you know, for me, pulling off an Ironman event or something like that, and having really positive feedback from stakeholders and athletes that they really enjoyed it, that's success. And to be honest, I've been very lucky in what I do in my career and all those things. I never thought, you know, if I looked back when I left school and I was still undecided, when I was in, you know, banking or teaching or hospitality, I still was, I wouldn't have thought I'd be in Singapore, you know, heading up the organisation for Asia and you know, going to all these different countries and trying to establish new events across them. So all of those things, you know, it's been an amazing journey, and you know, I'm very grateful for it.